Have you ever felt that familiar tug? That little ache in your heart when you reach out to your children, those wonderful people you brought into this world, nurtured, and loved with all your being, and it feels like your voice isn't quite reaching them the way it used to. Or perhaps, and this can be even more disheartening, it feels like they're not really listening at all. Maybe they're busy, their lives are full, and sometimes, just sometimes, it feels like you're more of an afterthought than the anchor you've always strived to be. It's a feeling that can creep in quietly, like the evening shadows growing longer. It might start with unreturned calls, or emails that linger unanswered. Perhaps visits become less frequent, filled with rushed conversations and a palpable sense of needing to be elsewhere. And sometimes, the words they do offer, they might lack the warmth and respect you'd hoped for, the kind that flows naturally between loving family members. If any of this resonates with you, if you've ever felt that pang of sadness or that quiet frustration when it seems your children aren't offering the respect or attention you deserve, please know that you are absolutely not alone. This is a delicate and often unspoken experience for many as we journey through our later years. The dynamics of family evolve, life throws its curveballs, and sometimes, the paths we envisioned don't quite unfold as we expected. That's precisely what we're going to talk about today. We're going to gently explore this sensitive topic of when your children, the very individuals you poured your heart and soul into, seem distant, disrespectful, or perhaps even ignore you. And more importantly, we're going to talk about what you can do. Not from a place of blame or resentment, but from a place of strength, wisdom, and a deep understanding of yourself and the ever-changing tapestry of family relationships. This isn't about assigning fault. It's not about pointing fingers or dwelling on what might have been. Instead, it's about empowering you with practical strategies, offering a fresh perspective, and reminding you of the incredible strength and resilience you possess. We'll explore how to navigate these challenging situations with grace, how to maintain your own peace of mind, and how to potentially foster healthier connections without losing yourself in the process. In our conversation today, we'll touch upon understanding the possible reasons behind this shift in dynamics. We'll delve into the power of staying calm, a cornerstone of navigating any emotional storm. And then, we'll explore some truly effective actions you can take, actions that focus on your well-being, your boundaries, and your ability to influence the situation in positive ways, even when it feels like you have little control. We'll look at the importance of self-care during these times, because nurturing yourself is paramount. We'll discuss setting healthy boundaries, not as a way to create distance, but as a way to protect your emotional energy and foster more respectful interactions. We'll consider the power of communication, not in a demanding way, but in a clear, calm, and assertive manner. And we'll also explore the wisdom in focusing on what you can control, which is often your own response and your own inner world. This journey of aging is a unique and precious one, filled with its own joys and challenges. The relationship with our children is a vital thread in this tapestry, and when that thread feels strained, it can cast a shadow. But remember, even shadows can shift, and with understanding and mindful action, we can often find ways to bring more light and warmth back into these connections. So, take a deep breath, settle in with a cup of tea if you like, and let's embark on this conversation together. Let's explore how you can navigate these delicate family dynamics with strength, grace, and a focus on your own well-being. Because you matter, your feelings are valid, and you deserve to be treated with love and respect, always. Now, let's delve into the first crucial aspect of navigating this situation. Understanding, as best we can, why this might be happening. It's rarely a simple case of children intentionally trying to hurt or disrespect their parents. Life is complex, and there are often multiple factors at play. One very common factor is simply the pressures of their own lives. Your children, no matter their age, are likely juggling careers, raising their own families, managing finances, and navigating the everyday complexities of modern life. These pressures can be immense and can sometimes lead to them being less attentive or responsive than they might ideally want to be. It's not an excuse for disrespectful behavior, but understanding the context can sometimes soften the emotional blow. Another aspect to consider is the changing roles within the family. As parents age, the dynamic can shift, sometimes subtly, sometimes more dramatically. Your children, perhaps unconsciously, might start to see you in a different light, not as the ever-strong, always-in-charge figure you once were. This shift can be unsettling for everyone involved and can sometimes manifest in awkward or less respectful interactions. Generational differences in communication styles and expectations can also play a significant role. What feels like disrespect to one generation might simply be a different way of communicating or prioritizing things for another. The rapid pace of modern life and technology has also changed how we connect, and these differences can sometimes lead to misunderstandings and feelings of being ignored. It's also important to consider that your children are individuals with their own perspectives, beliefs, and experiences. They may have different opinions or priorities than you do, and this can sometimes lead to disagreements or a perceived lack of respect if those differences aren't handled with sensitivity and understanding on both sides. Furthermore, past family dynamics and unresolved issues can unfortunately cast long shadows. If there have been past conflicts or strained relationships, these can resurface or continue to influence how your children interact with you now. Healing old wounds can be a long and challenging process, and sometimes distance or a lack of engagement can be a manifestation of those unresolved issues. It's also worth considering that your children might be going through personal struggles that you are not fully aware of. They might be dealing with health issues, relationship problems, financial worries, or professional setbacks that are consuming their energy and attention. This doesn't excuse disrespect, but it can provide a broader context for their behavior. Finally, and this can be a difficult one to acknowledge, sometimes our own expectations of our children might be unrealistic or unexpressed. We might have an idea of how often they should visit, how frequently they should call, or how involved they should be in our lives. And when those expectations aren't met, it can lead to feelings of disappointment and being ignored. Understanding these potential underlying reasons isn't about making excuses for disrespectful behavior, but it's about gaining a broader perspective. This understanding can be the first step towards navigating the situation more effectively and from a place of greater emotional clarity. It allows us to move away from simply feeling hurt or angry and towards a more thoughtful and strategic approach. Now that we've touched upon some of the possible reasons behind this dynamic, let's move on to the cornerstone of navigating this situation with grace and strength: staying calm. It might sound simple, perhaps even a little cliché, but in the face of feeling ignored or disrespected by your own children, maintaining your composure is absolutely crucial. Our emotions, especially those of hurt, anger, or sadness, can be incredibly powerful, and when we react solely from these emotions, it rarely leads to positive outcomes. In fact, it can often escalate the situation and further strain the relationship. When you feel that familiar wave of frustration or sadness washing over you, take a moment. Just a pause. A deep breath in and a slow breath out. This simple act can create a small space between the trigger and your reaction. In that space lies the power to choose how you respond, rather than simply reacting. Staying calm doesn't mean suppressing your feelings or pretending everything is okay. It means acknowledging your emotions without letting them completely take over. It's about recognizing the hurt or anger, but choosing not to let it dictate your words or actions in that moment. Why is this so important? Firstly, when you respond calmly, you are more likely to be heard. If you react with anger or defensiveness, your children may become defensive themselves, and the conversation can quickly devolve into an argument where no one truly listens. A calm demeanor, on the other hand, creates a safer space for communication, making it more likely that your concerns will be acknowledged. Secondly, maintaining your calm protects your own well-being. Getting swept up in emotional turmoil can be draining and stressful. It can impact your mood, your energy levels, and even your physical health. By choosing to stay calm, you are safeguarding your own peace of mind and conserving your emotional energy. Thirdly, your calm response can actually influence the dynamic of the interaction. When you remain composed in the face of perceived disrespect or being ignored, it can sometimes prompt the other person to also regulate their emotions. It can interrupt a negative cycle and create an opportunity for a more constructive exchange. So, how can you cultivate this sense of calm in challenging moments? There are several techniques you can practice. Deep breathing exercises, as mentioned earlier, are a simple yet powerful tool. When you feel your emotions rising, try taking a few slow, deep breaths. Focus on the sensation of the air entering and leaving your body. This can help to ground you in the present moment and reduce the intensity of your feelings. Another helpful technique is to practice mindfulness. This involves paying attention to your thoughts and feelings without judgment. Simply observing your emotions as they arise, without getting carried away by them, can create a sense of distance and allow you to respond more thoughtfully. If you feel yourself getting overwhelmed in a conversation, it's perfectly okay to take a break. You can say something like, "I'm feeling a little upset right now. Can we talk about this again in a little while after I've had a chance to gather my thoughts?" This gives everyone a chance to cool down and approach the conversation with a clearer head later. Remember, staying calm is a skill that takes practice. There will be times when you find it more challenging than others. Be patient with yourself, and acknowledge your efforts even when you don't achieve perfect composure. The intention to remain calm is itself a step in the right direction. By cultivating this inner sense of calm, you are empowering yourself to navigate these challenging family dynamics with greater clarity, strength, and self-control. You are choosing to respond rather than react, and in doing so, you are setting a more positive foundation for future interactions. Now, let's move on to some specific actions you can take when you feel your children are not respecting or are ignoring you. Staying calm is the foundation, and these actions are the steps you can take from that place of composure. One of the most important things you can do is to focus on your own well-being. When you are feeling hurt or ignored, it's easy to become consumed by those feelings and to neglect your own needs. However, now more than ever, it's crucial to prioritize your physical, emotional, and mental health. Make sure you are taking care of your basic needs. Are you getting enough sleep? Eating nutritious meals? Staying physically active in a way that feels good for your body? These fundamental aspects of self-care can have a significant impact on your mood and your ability to cope with stress. Engage in activities that bring you joy and fulfillment. What are your hobbies? What do you enjoy doing in your free time? Make time for these things, whether it's reading, gardening, painting, listening to music, spending time in nature, or connecting with friends. These activities can provide a sense of purpose and pleasure, helping to balance out the negative emotions you might be experiencing. Nurture your social connections. While your relationship with your children is important, it's also vital to maintain and strengthen your connections with friends, neighbors, or members of your community. Talking to others who care about you can provide emotional support and a sense of belonging. Consider joining a club, volunteering, or simply making an effort to connect with people you enjoy spending time with. Don't hesitate to seek professional support if you need it. Talking to a therapist or counselor can provide you with a safe and confidential space to explore your feelings and develop coping strategies. A professional can offer valuable insights and guidance as you navigate these challenging family dynamics. Remember, taking care of yourself is not selfish. It's an act of self-respect and self-preservation. When you are feeling strong and well-supported, you will be better equipped to handle the challenges that arise in your relationships. Another crucial action you can take is to set healthy boundaries. Boundaries are essential for any healthy relationship, and they define what you are and are not willing to accept in terms of behavior and communication. When you feel your children are being disrespectful or ignoring you, it's important to establish clear boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. Think about what kind of behavior or communication makes you feel disrespected or ignored. Is it when they interrupt you constantly? When they dismiss your opinions? When they fail to respond to your calls or messages for extended periods without explanation? Once you have identified these behaviors, you can start to set boundaries. This doesn't mean being aggressive or confrontational. It means communicating your needs and limits clearly and respectfully. For example, you might say something like, "I understand you're busy, but when I call, I would appreciate a response within a day or two, even if it's just to let me know you'll get back to me later." Or, when we're talking, "I feel hurt when I'm interrupted. Could we please try to listen to each other without interrupting?" It's important to be consistent with your boundaries. If you set a boundary and then allow it to be crossed repeatedly, it weakens the boundary. You may need to gently remind your children of your boundaries if they forget or try to push them. Setting boundaries is not about trying to control your children's behavior. It's about taking control of how you allow yourself to be treated. It's about asserting your right to be treated with respect and consideration. It's also important to remember that you can only control your own actions and reactions. You cannot force your children to behave in a certain way. Setting boundaries is about defining your own limits and choosing how you will respond if those limits are crossed. For example, if a conversation becomes disrespectful despite your attempts to set a boundary, you might choose to end the conversation and revisit it later when things are calmer. Setting healthy boundaries can feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you are not used to doing so. You might worry about upsetting your children or creating more conflict. However, in the long run, clear boundaries can actually lead to healthier and more respectful relationships. They create a framework for interaction that protects everyone's well-being. Another powerful action you can take is to communicate your needs and feelings clearly and calmly. Often, misunderstandings and hurt feelings can arise simply because we haven't clearly expressed what we need or how we are feeling. Instead of making accusations or assumptions, try to communicate from an "I feel" perspective. For example, instead of saying, "You never call me," which can sound like an attack, try saying, "I feel a little lonely when I don't hear from you." This way of communicating focuses on your own feelings and experiences, making it less likely to put the other person on the defensive. Be specific about what you need. Instead of saying, "I wish you would visit more," which is vague, try saying, "I would really enjoy it if you could come visit once a month." Being clear about your needs makes it more likely that they will be understood and potentially met. Choose the right time and place for important conversations. Avoid bringing up sensitive topics when either of you are tired, stressed, or distracted. Find a time when you can both talk privately and without interruptions. Listen actively when your children are speaking. Show that you are truly hearing what they have to say, even if you don't agree with it. This can help to create a more open and respectful dialogue. It's important to communicate calmly, as we discussed earlier. If you feel yourself getting emotional, take a break and come back to the conversation when you are feeling more composed. Raising your voice or becoming defensive is likely to escalate the situation. Remember that communication is a two-way street. Be open to hearing your children's perspectives and needs as well. They may have their own feelings and experiences that are contributing to the current dynamic. Trying to understand their point of view, even if you don't agree with it, can help to build empathy and foster better communication. It's also important to be realistic about what you can expect. Your children have their own lives and responsibilities, and their ability to meet your needs may be limited at times. While it's important to express your needs, it's also important to be understanding and flexible. By communicating your needs and feelings clearly and calmly, you are giving your children the opportunity to understand your perspective and respond in a more positive way. It opens the door for a more honest and respectful exchange. Another key aspect of navigating this situation is to focus on what you can control. It's natural to feel frustrated or helpless when it seems like your children are not respecting or ignoring you, as so much of the situation feels outside of your control. However, there are still many things that are within your power. You can control your own actions and reactions. As we've discussed, you can choose to stay calm, to communicate your needs clearly, and to set healthy boundaries. These are all proactive steps you can take that can influence the dynamic of the relationship. You can control where you focus your energy. Instead of dwelling on the negative feelings of being ignored or disrespected, you can choose to focus on the positive aspects of your life. Nurture your hobbies, spend time with supportive friends, and engage in activities that bring you joy. You can control how you spend your time. If you find yourself constantly waiting by the phone for a call that never comes, or feeling isolated, you can take proactive steps to fill your time with meaningful activities and connections. Volunteer, join a class, pursue a passion project. These can all help you feel more fulfilled and less dependent on your children for your sense of well-being. You can control your own self-care. Prioritizing your physical and mental health is something that is entirely within your control. Eating well, exercising, getting enough sleep, and engaging in relaxation techniques can all help you feel stronger and more resilient. You can control your perspective. While it's natural to feel hurt or disappointed, you can also choose to look at the situation from a different angle. Perhaps your children's busy lives are a sign that you raised them to be independent and capable. Perhaps their different communication style is simply a generational difference. Shifting your perspective doesn't mean denying your feelings, but it can help you to cope with them in a more constructive way. Remember, focusing on what you can control is empowering. It shifts you from a place of feeling like a victim to a place of agency. It allows you to take positive steps to improve your own well-being and potentially influence the situation in a positive way, even if you can't directly control your children's behavior. Now, let's consider the power of acceptance. This can be a challenging one, but it's often a crucial step in finding peace and navigating difficult relationships. Acceptance doesn't mean condoning disrespectful behavior or pretending that everything is okay. It means acknowledging the reality of the situation, even if it's not what you had hoped for. Acceptance involves letting go of the need to control your children's actions or force them to be the way you want them to be. It means recognizing that they are individuals with their own lives, priorities, and perspectives, and that you cannot always change their behavior. This doesn't mean giving up on the relationship or ceasing to communicate your needs. It means accepting that the relationship might look different than you envisioned, and that your children might not always meet your expectations. Acceptance can bring a sense of freedom. When you stop fighting against reality and trying to force things to be different, you can release a lot of emotional energy. This energy can then be directed towards things you can control, such as your own well-being and your own happiness. Practicing acceptance can involve acknowledging your feelings of hurt or disappointment without getting stuck in them. It can involve recognizing that your children's behavior is ultimately their choice, and that their choices don't necessarily reflect on your worth as a parent. It's also important to accept that relationships evolve over time. The dynamic you had with your children when they were young will naturally change as they grow older and have their own families and responsibilities. Accepting this natural evolution can help you to adjust your expectations and find new ways to connect. Acceptance is not about resignation or giving up. It's about facing reality with clarity and making choices based on what is, rather than what you wish were. It can be a path towards greater inner peace and a more realistic understanding of your relationships. While focusing on your own well-being and setting boundaries is crucial, there might also be times when it's helpful to reflect on your own behavior and communication style. This isn't about blaming yourself, but about gaining a deeper understanding of the dynamics at play. Consider whether you might inadvertently be contributing to the situation in some way. Are you being overly critical or judgmental? Are you constantly offering unsolicited advice? Are you overly reliant on your children for emotional support or practical help? Sometimes, even with the best intentions, our own behaviors can inadvertently create distance or tension in our relationships. Reflecting on your interactions with your children can provide valuable insights. Are you truly listening to them when they speak, or are you already formulating your response? Are you respecting their boundaries and their need for space? Are you acknowledging their accomplishments and challenges without comparing them to others or to your own experiences? It can be helpful to consider how your communication style might be perceived. Do you tend to be direct or passive-aggressive? Do you express your needs clearly and respectfully, or do you rely on hints or expectations? This kind of self-reflection can be challenging, but it can also be incredibly valuable. It allows you to identify any patterns of behavior that might be contributing to the difficulties in your relationship with your children. If you do identify areas where you might want to make changes, approach it with kindness and self-compassion. It's never too late to learn new communication skills or to adjust your approach to your relationships. If you feel comfortable doing so, you might even consider having an open and honest conversation with your children about how you are both feeling. Approach this conversation with a willingness to listen and understand their perspective as well. Remember, healthy relationships are built on mutual respect and understanding. Self-reflection and a willingness to adapt can be important steps in fostering a more positive dynamic with your children. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, remember your own worth and the love you have to offer. Even if your children are not currently showing you the respect or attention you deserve, it does not diminish your value as a person or the love that resides within you. You have lived a full life, filled with experiences, wisdom, and love. You have so much to offer the world, regardless of how your children are behaving towards you at this moment. Don't let their actions define your sense of self-worth. Your value comes from within, from the person you are, the things you have accomplished, and the love you carry in your heart. Continue to nurture yourself, to pursue your passions, and to connect with people who appreciate and value you. Surround yourself with positivity and remember that you are deserving of love and respect. Your role as a parent has been a significant part of your life, but it is not the only part. You are also an individual with your own unique identity, interests, and needs. Don't lose sight of that. Even if your relationship with your children is strained, hold on to the love that is there, even if it feels buried beneath layers of misunderstanding or distance. Love can be a powerful force for healing, and sometimes, with time and effort, relationships can improve. Remember that you are strong, you are resilient, and you are capable of navigating this challenging situation. You have a wealth of life experience to draw upon, and you have the inner strength to find peace and fulfillment, regardless of the current dynamics with your children. Your happiness and well-being are paramount. Focus on what brings you joy, on nurturing your own spirit, and on surrounding yourself with love and support in whatever forms that may take. You are loved, you are valued, and you matter. Never forget that. Video transitions to a warm closing visual as the gentle, uplifting music swells slightly. So, there you have it. Some thoughts and suggestions on how to navigate those challenging times when it feels like your children aren't offering the respect or attention you deserve. Remember, the key is to stay calm, focus on your own well-being, set healthy boundaries, communicate clearly, focus on what you can control, and ultimately, to remember your own inherent worth. I truly hope that something in our conversation today has resonated with you and offered a little bit of comfort or a new perspective. Now, I would love to hear from you. Have you ever experienced anything like this? What are some of the ways you've coped or found helpful in navigating these situations? Please share your thoughts and experiences in the comments below. Your insights can be so valuable to others who might be going through something similar. If you found this video helpful, please give it a thumbs up. It really helps others find our community. And if you'd like to see more videos like this, filled with gentle guidance and support for navigating this wonderful stage of life, please consider subscribing to my channel. We have so much more to explore together. Thank you so much for spending this time with me today. It means the world to me. Remember to be kind to yourself, to prioritize your well-being, and to cherish the many good things in your life. Here's to living your best life at any age. Until next time, take care.